Good evening, vagrants. This is the conclusion. We're up bright and early. Never make videos this early. Let's get this done. Recounting Friday's events and thereby ending the narrative. Friday morning. The final morning in the fog is hectic. Some fog residents up late saw a bleeding boy barrel through camp and disappear, and nobody has seen him since. With the sun rising over camp and casting a glow through the mist, Horatio Jasperson and Paul Norsky review last night's and the entire week's events and resolve, parentheses, at least to attempt, to capture Little instead of killing him. Horatio Jasperson demands sole discretion over what happens to Little if captured, and Paul Norsky says he agrees. The two vagrants part ways to make preparations while there's still sunlight. Ellis Baker visits Father Cornelius Wolfram once more, seeking direction. He finds the holy man standing among seated vagrants in his tabernacle. He's preaching about putting one's faith in the Lord and trusting that his will be done for the good of all. Once Ellis Baker manages to have a word with him, Cornelius offers him two pieces of guidance. First, only prayer can keep everyone safe. Second, Little passed the tabernacle when he entered camp last night, and just his vicinity to the canvas structure looked to be harmful to him. Cornelius promises Ellis Baker he'll be praying for him, and then he turns his attention to more vagrants who need spiritual care. Afternoon. Ellis Baker determines the location of last night's encounter and visits it himself. He finds signs of the scuffle. He examines the bloodied soil. There's not much to extract from the examining or his examining other than what he thinks are Little's footprints. They're smaller than the others. They're pushed deeper into the soil, and the tread in what Ellis Baker guesses are his boots is distinctive. Ellis Baker tracks his prints back to the fog where they're slowly lost in the scramble of other tracks. Nonetheless, this knowledge might come in handy. Horatio Jasperson's mob has grown in size and in intensity. The madman has set scores of men and women to building makeshift crosses as large and as ugly as his own, using whatever anyone can find. He explained his plan to a select few. They'll lure the creature into a ring of crosses and capture him that way. To this end, they've appropriated one of the larger tents and hidden the crosses inside. Horatio Jasperson, unarmed, will cut his hands and seat a tractor-tire throne in the center to lure him in. When the creature comes for blood and revenge, the crosses will be revealed, he will be weakened, and then he will be captured. Paul Norsky spends his afternoon at the Tabernacle of the Wayward, one of many who are coming to put their spiritual affairs in order in case anything catastrophic happens. The crowds grow larger the longer the day goes on. He waits in line. Father Cornelius Wolfram juggles confessions, sobs, and impromptu sermons, in many cases all three at once. He's run ragged. When Paul Norsky reaches him, the vagrant confesses his sins to the holy man. Cornelius half listens and then assures him he's forgiven. Paul Norsky lingers. Cornelius assures him again and then hurries him along. Paul Norsky leaves with an odd feeling on his shoulders. Now we reach night. Night finds Ellis Baker among one of the mobs Horatio Jasperson has taken control over. He explains to this mob his encounter with the beast. He explains prayer and icons will keep everyone safe, and if he survived, everyone else will too. His speech emboldens the mob, and the gathered vagrants clutch their crosses and crucifixes, some of which are nothing more than sticks wound together with twine. Horatio Jasperson seats his tire throne as night falls. His assistants slice his hands, and his blood flows. He smears himself with blood and leans back. He waits for the creature to show its face so his trap can be sprung. Outside the trap tent, some ways away in an especially shadowed spot, Paul Norsky finds a Hispanic man in a fine suit drinking a beer and watching Horatio Jasperson run his bloodied fingers across more of his body. This must be the agent. There's an uneasy atmosphere radiating throughout the space around him, but the agent himself appears unbothered. He sips his beer. Other vagrants pass seemingly without noticing him. Paul Norsky approaches him and proposes to lead him to Little. "You don't think the junkyard revival will lure him in?" the agent asks. Do you know where he is? Paul Norsky reviews the week's events and tries, on the spot, to work out where Little might have gone. Saturnino Zapata waits patiently. He finishes his beer. Don't worry, I know where he is. Follow me. Keep quiet. Follow me and see. The agent throws his empty bottle on the ground and leads Paul Norsky across the fog. They pass Horatio Jasperson, seated alone in the middle of his trapped tent. They pass Ellis Baker aiding a mob with prayer. They pass Mitchell and George Washington and Father Cornelius Wolfram and the Jihos and walk down to the ocean. They locate the little beachside shack Paul Norsky visited on Monday, the location of the most recent Hooverville Fog murder. Familiar? The agent asks. You were standing here on Monday night, and I was standing up there. He points up at the collection of trees overlooking the shack. Then he wags his finger at the shack. I'm surprised you didn't die. I was counting on it, and it didn't happen. None of us came through. Oh well. He leads Paul Norsky inside, and they find Little propped against the wall holding his throat. An entire day has passed, and he's still bleeding. His skin sizzles now and then before regenerating. Saturnino Zapata crouches beside the wounded boy. Little stares at him. He can't move. Looks like you're done, son. You caused a ruckus, and now you can't live and you can't die, and that means you can't kill. If you can't kill, then you can't pull your weight, and if you can't pull your weight, then you're a liability, not an asset. And that means we're done with you. Tell your mother her buddy says hi. Before Paul Norsky can stop him, the agent rests a golden cross engraved with stars and stripes across the boy's forehead. Little's skin doesn't sear, he doesn't scream, and he doesn't turn to ash. He evaporates. He ceases to exist before he realizes what's happening. Paul Norsky starts at the agent, but Saturnino unholsters a revolver and levels it at the vagrant's face. Back up. You listen to me if you want to live. What you saw just now, you tell nobody in Squander. Nobody. But you tell everyone back in your camp. You tell them the scary Mexican, the government fellow in the suit, killed this boy with a golden cross blessed by Uncle Sam's Holy Ghost. You tell them every detail you remember. Look at my face. Remember my face. Now, do me a kindness and scream good and loud. The agent shoots Paul Norsky in the leg and steps out of the shack into the misty darkness. Paul Norsky screams. He bleeds until a party of vagrants locates him and administers first aid. He'll live, but he might live the rest of his life with a visible limp. The Hooverville Fog killer has been killed. For now, the vagrants are safe, and the Hooverville Fog can re-anchor back down into some degree of normality and normalcy. For now, that's where this story ends. This experiment shot my analytics in the dick. It actually did damage I can see financially, but for what it was, it actually worked, it functioned, and I appreciate your participation. Now we have a better idea of what would and wouldn't work if we were to try another community RPG thing. Namely, more rules, more dice rolling, because there was no dice rolling here, and less sitting down and writing out a narrative. That got exhausting, even with the prompting. And video making is coital, so needing to make a video after doing a bit of writing, it takes it out of you. That's why we're doing it this morning. Hopefully the refractory period will have elapsed by the end of the day, and we can blow a healthy load of ideas this evening. And I want to make a video talking about this all at some point. Maybe that's what we'll do this evening, if we do anything. But again, thank you for participating. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't.